There's nothing quite like fresh homemade juice. Hello everyone, it's Rachel the Student Witch, and happy solstice, whether you're in the northern hemisphere celebrating the sun and the heat and the harvest and the vegetables and the fruits and the tomatoes ripening in the garden, or if you're in the southern hemisphere celebrating the return of the sun and the darkness of the year, but each day getting little bit by bit a little bit longer and a little bit warmer. So happy solstice. I'm in the north, so happy summer solstice to me. It's June 24th at the time of this recording. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of that kind of video scrapbooking that I did at the very beginning of this video, and can you believe how much my tomato plant has grown? Holy crap. It is kind of tall and thin. I would like it to be a little bushier, but it has just grown like a weed in the past couple weeks since I've gotten it. It's at least twice, if not almost 3 times as tall as it was when I got it. So I'm really excited about that. It already has little flowers budding on it, which means tomatoes are coming. But yeah, I'm thinking about doing more video scrapbooking now that I think about it, because I enjoy it when other people do, when people give little snapshots and little tidbits of their lives, whatever they're comfortable sharing. So I think I might do that more often. Maybe it'll probably just happen whenever I feel like it. I don't want to commit to anything right now, but it would be cool to do it, you know, every so often. So we'll see what happens. Life is chaotic for me right now. So we'll see what I actually get done. And I am working on that video on perfectionism, witching through grad school. I'm reviving that series finally, and I actually was planning on recording and editing and uploading it this weekend, but last minute my parents decided to come visit, so they left. They're on their way back to Kentucky right now, so if you include stopping for gas and stretching your legs and eating and stuff like that, it's about a 10 or 11 hour drive. And actually them stopping by kind of inspired this video, because they were here during the solstice. There's a music festival happening right now in the town that I'm in. There's lots of life and fresh produce and farmers markets and freshly made homemade fruit juice going on in my life right now, and it's just all very solsticey. So yeah, the juicer I showed at the very beginning, my partner and I have had for a while, but it's been a very long time, like over a year since we last used it. And at one point, about 3, maybe 4 years ago, we were very good at making juice, both vegetable and fruit juice, pretty regularly, like on a weekly basis. And we even did weekly fasts where on a Saturday, if we didn't have much going on, we would just drink fruit and vegetable juice and eat fresh fruit and vegetables and kind of fast that way. But that just went by the wayside about 4 years ago. But now we're kind of getting back into it. But anyway, the juice that I'm drinking, if you're wondering, is cucumbers that are from my parents' garden back home. My parents brought a whole bunch of produce, a lot of it from their garden, including homegrown lettuce and cucumbers, which is really great. So cucumber, apples, pears, oranges, strawberries, and carrots. And it's just so fresh and so good. So, juice. But yeah, my parents' coming was really, really great. And just the fact that it coincided with the solstice, it also coincided with us getting a new bed. We finally bought a new mattress, which we've been meaning to do for a while. So my parents came, the solstice happened, this musical festival happened, we went to the farmer's market and that was great, and we got a new mattress. Oh, so great. Such a fun solstice. But what really impacted me about this visit was the reaching across the political aisle, so to speak, that has been happening more and more with my parents. I am about, well, I really hate the dichotomies that we're all forced into in this country. You're either a leftist or you're a right. You're liberal or conservative. You're a leftist, baby-killing, commie feminist, or you're a tiki torch-wielding neo-Nazi KKK member. Like, these divisions, it's just divide and conquer. It's easier. It just pisses me off so much, because sometimes I feel like people are making money off of keeping, certain groups of people are making money and keeping power by keeping the rest of us divided. And so those of us who can safely reach across that proverbial political aisle and listen and debate, but in a respectful way, with people who might disagree with us, it's just so beautiful when that happens. And of course I recognize that it's safer for certain people to do that more than others. Like, you know, I'm a cisgendered white woman in a heteronormative relationship. I don't have to worry about being deported. I'm a citizen of this country. Like, it's safer for me to have those debates and also to speak my mind when I need to than for other people. And for those of us who have those privileges, it's time to kind of exercise them and even the playing field and stand up for what's right, right? And so any Fox News pundit would label me as a leftist, commie, baby killer, feminist. And my parents are conservative, Fox News watching Trump voters, even though I feel like they're regretting their decision, but I didn't want to bring it up. But there's just a couple of instances while they were visiting here that reaching across the aisle happened, and it was just so beautiful. Like, for example, we were just watching Netflix, and my parents don't have Netflix. They only watch it when they come to visit us because we don't have cable. And we were just kind of flipping through Netflix, looking at comedians, and my dad said, "Oh, this looks interesting," so he clicked on it. And it was Hannah Gadsby's Nanette special, which I think has been on Netflix for a few weeks. I don't exactly remember when it was first premiered on there, but she is a lesbian comedian from Australia, and she was originally from Tasmania. And her special, she talks about quitting comedy because she actually has some critiques for the genre for people who exist within margins, who are marginalized by dominant society, how comedy can become a place of escape, but it's oftentimes based on self-deprecating jokes, and how those types of jokes she felt didn't allow her to process her traumas, because she went through several traumatic events and just being raised in a very homophobic environment where she mentions, and I didn't know this, in Tasmania, homosexuality was illegal until 1997. So she grew up in this homophobic environment. She suffered several traumatic events that she talks very openly about. And it was just so incredibly powerful because it was more than just a comedy show. She was defiant, and she got fucking angry and called people out, and wasn't afraid to talk about her traumas and be critical of the stand-up comedy genre. And to sit there and watch it with my parents. My mom fell asleep. But my dad, he listened. Like, my Trump voting, conservative Fox News watching dad listened. And at the end, he laughed throughout it. And at the end, he said, wow, that must have taken a lot of guts to stand up in front of that crowd and tell your story. She was a very good public speaker. I mean, I was in tears, literally. Literally. And it just served to me as a reminder that this division that we all feel like we're forced into, liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican, this, that, these divisions, they only exist if we uphold them. And healthy debate and healthy dialogue with people who have different perspectives from you, that is what's going to save us from ourselves in the end, in this, at least within my time, in this particularly intense political period. At least within my lifetime again. And we also had another moment the next day. We walked around the music festival downtown, but it was hot as balls because it's June in Georgia. And so we stopped by one of our favorite bars downtown, and we all had a beer, and we talked about marijuana legalization. And my dad started sharing stories about like how back in the 70s what weed was like and how it's so much stronger now. And, you know, again, my conservative Republican father is pro legalization of marijuana, and he was critiquing Matt Bevin. Matt Bevin is the stupid governor of Kentucky right now. He was critiquing Matt Bevin for how he was handling the debt that Kentucky is struggling with right now, and it's affecting teachers' pensions. And how he was talking about how legalizing marijuana in the state of Kentucky for recreational use and taxing it like other states like Colorado and California have would help the state deal with its, I think he said it's something like a $30 billion debt. And Kentucky it's a poor rural state. It's, I think, I can't remember off the top of my head what its land mass is, but its population is only 6 million people in the state, the entire state. And it's very rural, and has a long history of poverty, especially in the eastern half of it. And so they recently legalized hemp, and now farmers can grow hemp. And how that can really help farmers, but legalizing marijuana and taxing the fuck out of it, which I am like all for, yes, tax it if I know that the taxes are going to my community and to pay for teachers' pensions and for education, then yes. So that was a really wonderful conversation. And he talked about, you know, his youth in the 70s, and because my dad, he was in his early to mid 20s through the 70s. And so it was so great to be able to have that conversation, something that we politically agree on. I just get so fed up with how the media, and I'm including internet sources of media, it just promotes this division. And like I said, the division can sometimes keep people safe. Like, not everybody can stand up and walk up to a white nationalist or neo-Nazi and have a healthy debate with them. Like, but for your average Joe, for your average everyday American, whoever, whatever might that be, there really is, I feel in my heart, if we just learn to listen to each other a little bit more, a little bit better. I really think there's more that can unite us than divide us. And there are people and groups involved in politics and whatnot who are profiting off of keeping us divided, and it's just sickening. It's so sickening to me. And actually, the comedian Hannah Gadsby, in her special, she talks about that too, how laughter can unite people, but anger can too. But anger often, when you unite a group of people through anger, it often goes down a very dark and violent path, whereas through laughter and dialogue and debate and respect, things can go down a different and, in my opinion, better path. So it was a very awesome visit with my parents. I often feel very thankful for my parents because I feel very thankful for my parents because at the end of the day, what's most important to them, what's more important than political ideology or religious ideology, is the well-being of their children, me and my sister, and it's always been that way. So we might disagree on a lot of stuff, and we might have fought over a lot of stuff, but at the end of the day, they are super dedicated parents, and I recognize that I was very lucky to have that because I've met people, particularly queer people, gay, lesbian, trans, whatever, whose parents chose ideology over their well-being, and that is just sickening and unfortunate. So I do recognize how lucky I am to have parents who have the wherewithal and the emotional and mental intelligence to value their children's lives over whatever ideology they might happen to believe in at the moment, religious, political, or otherwise. So yeah, I'm just so thankful for that, and I'm thankful that my parents have always been there for me and are willing to drive 10 to 12 hours through traffic to come visit us for a few days, just because they love us. They're also retired. They're both retired, so they have the free time and the flexibility. But it was such a beautiful summer solstice, and I highly recommend that comedy special. I might have a link to it in the description box below, because trigger warning, of course, because she does talk about her traumas, and she does express like sincere, righteous anger. But it was just so good, and it was so healing. It was very healing to watch that, especially with my conservative parents and my dad, and to hear him appreciate and listen and respect her. It was just so beautiful. It was a beautiful moment. So I think I'll end that here. I'm going to sit down and finally learn how to edit this video and upload it as soon as I can. But I hope everybody had a beautiful solstice if you do celebrate the solstice, whether you're in the north or the south. And the next time you see me, I'll be talking about perfectionism and witching through grad school, as you do. So until next time, cheers and many blessings. Bye.